Some of the biggest companies on the planet spent millions of dollars, hired hundreds of engineers, and still managed to build trucks so bad they make you question everything. These were not minor flaws or small design mistakes, but full catastrophic failures that somehow made it to actual showrooms where real people were expected to hand over real money. 12 trucks represent 12 genuinely baffling decisions, and the higher the budget, the worse the judgment got. The Lincoln Blackwood arrived in late 2001 with a carpeted truck bed. If you read that back, it had a carpeted bed. Ford took the F-150 platform, dressed it up in leather and wood trim, slapped black carpet on the cargo floor, and told buyers this was the future of hauling. Rain, mud, and tools were all your problem because that carpet could not handle any of them. The power-operated tonneau cover broke constantly, leaked when it rained, and left the interior soaked every time a cloud passed overhead. Ford expected 10,000 sales in a single year, but they moved roughly 3,300 total before killing the entire program after just one model year. The Blackwood never even saw a second birthday. Next, Chevrolet decided to build a convertible sports truck in 2003. The SSR weighed nearly 4,800 pounds, burned through fuel at an embarrassing rate, and its rounded retro body produced a cargo bed so small and oddly shaped it barely qualified as a truck bed. Chevy charged over $40,000 for this. The original 5.3-liter engine produced only 300 horsepower in a vehicle that heavy, making it slower off the line than a basic family sedan. Who approved that spec sheet? The SSR ran until 2006 before getting quietly discontinued, leaving behind a confused group of owners who still are not quite sure what category of vehicle they actually purchased. Dodge then looked at the pickup market in 1989 and thought what this industry truly needs is a convertible work truck. The Dakota Sport Convertible used a manual folding fabric soft top built with assistance from ASC, the American Sunroof Company. While a body-on-frame truck gets its structural strength from the frame underneath rather than the roof, removing the top still caused the cab to flex. Owners reported violent shaking over every bump and pothole, while the roof leaked in any rain, and turned the cab into a wind tunnel at highway speeds. Dodge sold only 3,759 of these across 3 model years before stopping production in 1991. Nobody asked for this truck. GMC decided for the 2004 model year that what SUV buyers truly wanted was a motorized sliding roof over the cargo area. The Envoy XUV used electric motors and rubber seals to retract a section of roof so tall objects could fit inside. While the complex mechanism was prone to leaking over time, GM isolated the cargo bay with a waterproof midgate and built-in drains to protect the passenger seats. The supplier building that complex roof system took a multi-million-dollar loss and shut down a dedicated factory because GM ordered so few units. The XUV lasted until 2005, and its legacy stands as one of the clearest examples of over-engineered thinking collapsing under its own weight. Subaru tried something similar in 2002. They took the legacy station wagon, cut the rear roof off, and called it the Baja. The cargo bed measured just 41.5 inches long. For reference, a standard bicycle runs roughly 68 inches, meaning the Baja could not even carry that without a wheel dangling off the tailgate. Subaru projected 24,000 sales per year and managed only 30,000 across the entire 4-year run combined. They also eliminated one passenger seat during the conversion, making the Baja objectively less useful than the wagon it came from. Subaru paid full production costs to build something worse than what they already had. Now for something smaller. The Suzuki X-90 ran from 1995 to 1997, and calling it a truck is being generous. It had 2 seats, almost 0 cargo space, and a 1.6-liter engine producing 95 horsepower. Its T-top roof panels could detach, which was presumably the only feature Suzuki believed in. It looked like a plastic toy built by someone who had heard a truck described once, but never actually seen one. Suzuki struggled to move inventory even after slashing prices repeatedly. The vehicle was completely useless. The Mazda REPU is technically fascinating and practically disastrous. Built between 1974 and 1977, it holds the distinction of being the only pickup truck ever powered by a Wankel rotary engine. Rotary engines need to spin at extremely high speeds before making real power, which works fine in a lightweight sports car and catastrophically in a work truck. Hauling requires pulling power at low speeds, and the REPU had almost none of that. Load the bed with tools, and the truck struggled painfully. Worse, the rotary engine burned through fuel at rates typical of a large V8, and while its 110 horsepower actually beat competing four-cylinders, it had to be revved incredibly high to get any of that power. It was a complete mismatch of engine and purpose, wrapped in a compact pickup body. The Hummer H2 SUT ran from 2005 to 2009 and weighed over 6,400 pounds. It delivered 10 miles per gallon, and its cargo bed measured 3 feet long. GM classified the H2 SUT as a heavy-duty passenger vehicle, which conveniently allowed the company to skip reporting its fuel economy figures to the government. Buyers paid premium prices for a truck that could not haul meaningfully, could not stop at a gas station without financial pain, and existed primarily so suburban drivers could own the largest possible vehicle, regardless of whether it actually functioned as one. It was big outside and empty inside. Over in Europe, Skoda built the Felicia Fun from 1997 to 2000 in bright yellow paint with green frog print seats, producing slightly over 4,000 units total. The rear cab wall slid outward to reveal 2 extra passenger seats sitting fully exposed in the open cargo bed. If you drove with passengers in those seats when rain started, those passengers got drenched instantly. Though typically open to the elements, optional canvas covers and hardtops were available to protect passengers from the rain. Skoda marketed this to adventure-loving young buyers, leaving many to wonder how that design passed any internal review. 4,000 people discovered the answer personally. The Reliant Ant ran from 1967 to 1987 in Great Britain with 3 wheels, including 1 in front and 2 in back. If you loaded the cargo bed with building materials, the front end lightened dangerously. Take a corner too sharply, catch a bump at the wrong moment, and the truck tips sideways. Workers who depended on it every day operated a vehicle that could fall over under the exact conditions a work truck exists to handle. The engine produced around 31 horsepower, and the instability produced significantly more anxiety. Dodge came back in 1982 with the Rampage, a front-wheel drive subcompact pickup born from the fuel crisis. Its 2.2-liter engine made 84 horsepower. It also sold as the Plymouth Scamp, which is honestly the most accurate name in automotive history. Dodge equipped the truck with a specialized load-sensitive brake proportioning valve to prevent rear-wheel lockup when the bed was empty, though maintenance issues could affect its performance. The cargo bed was too short to carry standard construction materials with the tailgate closed, and it could not tow anything meaningful. Dodge built it for 3 years and walked away without a second glance. This brings everything to number 12. The Tesla Cybertruck launched in 2023 after years of hype, originally promised at $39,900. Buyers who eventually took delivery paid between $80,000 and over $100,000, depending on configuration. The stainless steel panels develop rust spots and collect fingerprints almost immediately, and the edges are sharp enough to cut exposed skin. Early production runs suffered from accelerator pedal failures and windshield wiper defects that forced major recalls. At the live reveal event, the supposedly unbreakable windows shattered on stage in front of the entire audience, and that moment aired on news broadcasts globally. The Cybertruck still ships and still sells at 1.5 to 2.5 times the price originally announced. No other vehicle on this list had the confidence to fail that visibly and keep going without changing course. These 12 trucks represent multiple companies with large budgets engineering departments, and market research teams, all of whom somehow missed the point in spectacular fashion. The carpeted bed flooded, the three-wheeler tipped over at work, and the open rear seats got soaked in European rain. None of this was accidental. Engineers drew up these designs, executives reviewed and approved them, and factories built thousands of units to ship to dealerships. Every single time, the result hit the market and proved immediately that having money and having good judgment are two completely different things. Which one would you actually drive? Let me know in the comments. If watching billion-dollar companies embarrass themselves at this scale entertains you, hit subscribe because there are many more stories exactly like these.